Curtis Calhoun here with MMA News, and my next guest is another big fight coming up in the 2023 PFL Playoffs. Josh Silveira back on the program. How's it going, Josh?
Good, man. Just getting ready for this crazy playoffs. PFL season is a long season, but no complaints, man. Only blessings. So feeling great, feeling good.
Absolutely. And we were talking a little bit off the air about how I think the last time we spoke was right before your Challenger Series fight last year. Like, kind of talk to me a little bit about the journey in the PFL. Like, this being your second season with the PFL, like, you feel comfortable with the format and all that, or what's been kind of like the biggest difference?
Yeah, basically from Challenger Series, that there's been a long journey. Um a lot of things have changed, but not so much. I think it was just small adjustments. I think it was just maturity and stuff like that. Um, I think a big difference from the last season to this season is I think I'm more involved. As in, I think last year I got hurt in the first round. I was like a reserve, getting thrown around a lot. This season has been very, very tiring, but very I was treating with a lot of precision. The 12 points total, putting myself in a spot where I don't have to be in the reserve or whatever to get into a fight that in case somebody gets hurt or whatever. I want to have my own spot in there, and I think I just maturity level, man. From last year to this year, taking that loss really um, put me somewhere. Um, put me in a spot where I really had to ask myself if I really want to win this thing, and I really do. I really want to win this. I really think this is a big chapter of my life for my future. I don't have any kids, but it makes me think of things like that. So yeah, man, I'm just overall a little bit mature. I'm getting older. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. So, I love the PFL format. I competed, in wrestling in college. So I'm used to that, competing every week, every 2 weeks. In this case, you're fighting every 2 to 3 months, but constant, um, competition, and I think the biggest takeaway is, um, the mentality part, man. You win a fight and you already have an opponent lined up. So you get a physical break, but the break on your brain isn't that much of a break, and you have to be willing to go through that. It's I'm not sure, it's like a 4 or 5 month season, something like that,
Hmm.
maybe longer. So man, there's no place I'd rather be right now, and I'm happy. And that's the main thing. I'm happy too.
What do you feel like are some of the biggest keys for how you were able to bounce back from that loss last year in the playoffs? Because obviously, you talked about the new mentality and all that stuff, and kind of how things have flowed together a little bit this year as opposed to last year. But were some things that you kind of learned about yourself during those moments, and things that you kind of did to help build that mental aspect of your game?
Yeah, life is a strange thing, and unfortunately, we learn a lot in dark places, in losses, in bad moments. Um, but I let that process go through. I was down there in the dumps, and I stayed down there for a little bit. But there's no better feeling than picking yourself back up and getting back on that horse, and and it works the same way when everything's going well. Sometimes you got to pull yourself back down to the middle ground. That's where I feel like the human is at its best state of mind. The best flow state of mind is when they're right in the middle, not too cocky and not too down in the dumps. So I think the biggest takeaway was just lifestyle in general. Sleeping well, eating well, say no sometimes. Um, Sometimes you got to cut off some friends, as in, not all my friends are fighters. Not everybody wakes up and goes to the gym and gets punched in the face, kicked in the leg. I had to realize and separate myself from other people around me. And not in a mean way. It's just I really want to win, man. And I think I realized that this is not a it's not a game. You know, I could really change my life with this thing, and that was the biggest takeaway. You know, trying to put myself in a position where I'm not scared to get tired. I'm not scared to attempt. I'm not scared to initiate. You know, and I think hesitation was really something that gets any guy, any fighter in there. You know, I don't care how long you've been doing it. Sometimes you hesitate to pull the trigger. You hesitate to be successful. And the biggest takeaway was, you know, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to just take what I can get, take what is mine, and try to just do better for myself. You know, and I just once you commit to that, your sacrifices aren't obligations no more. They're almost you're almost do it for pleasure. I will do this gladly. You know what I mean? And I think I came to this point where I'm enjoying it, the ups and the downs, being tired, learning, and just accepting it all, you know? And I probably wouldn't have gotten here if I didn't take that first loss.
Do you feel like you're almost kind of like this season as opposed to last season? Do you feel like you're kind of more worried about your own skill set and your own development, and not as much about, you know, your opponent? Not to say that you're, you know, not game planning or anything like that, but
Yeah,
in terms of just like, you know, building your own confidence and doing what you do best, not worrying about hesitating and all that.
yeah, you know, I think you know you always got a game plan for your fights and stuff, but I think at the end of the day, you want to incorporate your style, your attitude, um, into the fight, and have them have to worry about you, you know, and yeah, focusing on me, man. You know, it's not a secret to what I can do. You know, everyone knows I'm a grappler. I like kicking in the head, things like that. You know, so at the end of the day, we're just gonna sharpen those, you know, those tools a little bit more, and just, you know, everyone has a big right hand, a big overhand, whether it's left or right hand. You know, there's simple things like that. You know, I'm always it's always in my mind, you know what I mean? But other than that, man, you know, I'm just focusing on myself, focusing on winning this thing. I want a gold belt around my waist. I want the $1 million, you know. I'm not looking past my opponents, but this year it's been a hell of a ride.
How do you see this Ty Flores matchup playing out stylistically? Obviously, he's got an interesting style, a couple of wins during the regular season, went the distance, really tough, durable guy as well. What have you kind of seen from his last few performances, and how do you kind of see this stylistically for you?
So, you know, me, in other interviews, I've mentioned that me and Ty were scheduled to fight like once or twice in the regional scene. Never happened. You know, I know he had his own things going on, a contender series or things like that that he did. Um, so it's interesting that we're matched up now. You know, it's probably the best time to get matched up. He's probably getting paid the best ever, and I'm getting paid the best ever. So let's make some money. But statistically, you know, when I look at the whole season from the first round to second round, obviously I had two fast fights. You know, I was in no control of the second fight. You know, he blew his knee out, and that's just how it goes. But for Ty, I felt like Ty, you know, he's a tough guy, but I felt like he slipped through the cracks a little bit, you know, to get to this moment. And it's not his fault, you know. It's not. I'm not saying it's luck or his fault. Obviously, there was that big hiccup that happened with our weight class with multiple guys, you know. So he goes from fighting Wilkinson in the second round to fighting an opponent that, you know, he could for sure beat versus Wilkes. It would have been. I'm not saying he would have beat him or not, but it would have been definitely a tougher fight. Um, and then if you even want to go deeper into it, you know, you have Andrew Sanchez versus Taylor Johnson, who took a illegal knee in the first round. That could have been 6 points for Andrew Sanchez. Kind of his corner's fault, you know, his coach's fault for that. You know, any other time maybe get tough, but this time when there's $1 million on the line and it's a point system, and you have a free 6 points. You know, if Andrew probably would have taken those 6 points from disqualification, I probably would have been fighting Impa Kasanganay right now. Because Impa had 5 points and got a KO versus Ty Flores's 5 points because he missed weight too. So they had to deduct a point from him. So even with all this, man, he still was able to slide through the cracks and get to the semis, and I applaud him for that. That's great. You know, um, everyone probably had him out since the start, but here he is, and I'm not counting him out. I just think the road has ended for him. There's no more cracks to slip through. There's no more you know, points anymore. This is just straight up, fighting. And I don't know, man. I feel like I have great IQ. I feel like I just gonna be better than him in his own world. He's a wrestler and I'm a wrestler too. So I think at the end of the day, I'm just no disrespect. I'm just better than him. And I think it's just gonna, and he still has to make the weight. I know he has the time struggling to make the weight too. So we'll see, man. I'm getting ready for Andrew too, because he's the guy that might jump in if anything happens. So, but yeah, I think I'm just overall better.
And what was kind of your reaction to, as you mentioned, it's been kind of a roller coaster ride for the division with Thiago Santos and Rob Wilkinson getting suspended for the season. What was kind of your reaction to that news, and what are your thoughts on kind of, the state of the division this year and all the craziness that's been involved with it?
Unfortunately, this happens in the sport. It's just we don't really know anything that happens behind closed doors or anything like that. So everybody has their choices to make and decisions they need to do. You know, uh, Thiago's a big friend of mine. I was super bummed out for him. I've helped him many, many times. Same thing with Christoph Jocko. I've helped him many times. It's just unfortunate thing, man. I hope there could be a learning from this, and I hope to see them back at it because, man, they're great guys, but, this is just a sport that we're in. And sometimes there could be multiple reasons why things like this happen. Personally, I don't know. I don't, I don't ask any questions. But all I know is that they're great guys, man. He's a great dad. He means well, and I hope to see him back in there soon.
Absolutely, man. And I got to get your thoughts on the other semifinals matchup too. Obviously, Marthin Hamlet, who you're familiar with, Impa Kasanganay, who's kind of seen as the dark horse by many analysts in the division. How do you see that matchup playing out, and who are kind of you expecting to see in the championship?
Yeah, man. So people ask me that, and honesty, I'm 50-50 with it. I really think it depends how Hamlet comes. If Hamlet comes ready to fight, ready to use his size, ready to use his wrestling, and he's in good cardio shape, I think he could give Impa a hard time. I think he could give Impa a hard time. But we cross over to Impa side. You have a guy who got horse kicked in the UFC, became highlight of the Buckley guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now he's in a position to make $1 million. So this dude came from a dark place, and now he's in a place of where he could change his life. So, when you bring these two aspects, and then Hamlet's in, this is his third time in the semifinals, I think. So you have two guys that basically were, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but they had their moments where things didn't go their way, and we're just going to see who wants it more. But like I said, I think if Hamlet comes prepared, he could really shock the world, man. He could really do something. And if we go at it again, it would be an honor to fight him again. I know he wants to fight me. I know he wants his rematch. It'd be more than happy to give him a rematch. But if Impa becomes the guy, I think it's just gonna come up to I always bring it up, IQ. I just think I'm gonna have better tools, better IQ, just hungrier, man. And if I fight Hamlet, I've beaten him before. I know I could do it again. And I beat him in a sense of something that I don't usually do as often as grappling. And I honestly think I'm better than him in all aspects of grappling. I personally, you give, you take a back, you finish the back, and he couldn't finish Sam K in that last fight. You give me your back, I guarantee you, I'll take your nose or your face home or your neck. Something's gonna get ripped off. And that just with technique and growing up with it. But like I said, I'm 50-50 on it. I think closer to the fight day, I'll get more of a feel. But yeah, I think we're gonna see what happens, man. I think it's gonna be an interesting fight. And Hamlet is much more thinner this year, so I feel like taking it a little bit more serious, a little bit faster. We'll see what happens, man. That's gonna be a good fight. That's gonna be a good fight.
Absolutely. And a couple more questions for me. Once again, I really do appreciate the time. I know you got a lot going on with the fight coming up here in a couple weeks. I want to get your thoughts on your American Top Team teammate, Marlon Moraes, obviously announcing his retirement earlier this year. I saw you put up an Instagram post not long after he announced his retirement. I want to get your thoughts on that. And what have you kind of learned from him, maybe in and out of the gym, seeing how his career played out and all that?
Yeah, no, Marlon is, I think he's an important aspect of MMA in general. You know what I mean? This is tough guy. Amazing fights, beating past champions. We can't forget what he's done. But I think every warrior, every person that steps in that octagon, they never know when it's time.
Yeah.
They just never know, man. They just never know. I think there's one Gracie. I forgot his name. Is it? I forgot which Gracie. That's like 10-0. He stopped fighting because he had some family issues. Sometimes, you stop fighting and you have an undefeated record, but usually there's probably something that happened that makes you not want to fight no more. You look at Fedor Emelianenko, all these guys. They want to just keep. They just think they just one more. Just one more, and that's just the love for the sport, man. That's the love for their sport. I feel like Marlon's a guy that would fight for free if it came down to it. I know I would. As crazy as that sounds, and I don't want to let PFL know that because I want to get paid, but I honestly would, man. It's not just this thing that I'm just trying to get money out of. I love this sport. I think it associates with the human race. Just people think we're crazy. I think they're crazy for not wanting to do combative things or learn about it. And I think, Marlon's an inspiration, man. I know he didn't want to go out that way, but who goes out the perfect way, man? Robbie Lawler had a nice, impressive way out. He almost looked like he still has some in the tank. He probably thinking about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, losing associates with maybe it's time. But yeah, man, I have the utmost respect for Marlon. He's done so much great things, and he's such a good family guy too, man. He's such a good family guy. His kids are amazing kids, and I think he just wanted to focus on that and put his time into his family now. And I don't blame him. And my takeaway from that is hopefully one day I'll know the right time, which I probably won't, but hopefully I do know the right time when it's time to hang him up, but yeah, man, Marlon Moraes is an amazing guy.
No doubt about it. And last question for me, what can PFL fans expect on August 4th when you get in the cage and get your hand raised at the end? What kind of performance can they expect when they watch you fight?
So people could expect 1,000 different possibilities, but one thing is for sure, that I'm going to get that W. I'm going to put the pressure on Flores. You're going to see a fighter in there that's not scared to get tired. Not scared to get tired. And that's what I'm telling myself. That's what I've been telling myself. And when I have that mentality, anything could happen. Anything could happen. And yeah, we're gonna swim to the deep end, and we're gonna tread water, and we're gonna see who could, not drown. And I'm not scared to swim over there. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna drag them with me, whether the fight ends fast or, it's gonna take a little while, but we're gonna make it happen. It's gonna be entertaining. I'm gonna put it on him. with great IQ, and I'm in the same position I was last year. The only difference is I'm gonna continue to get to the finals. I'm gonna win this shit, man. It's just there's nothing that could stop it from happening. It's what's going to happen. I'm creating my fate and I'm creating my moment, and it's my time to be marvelous, man.
We are excited to see you fight, man. Always an exciting time to watch you fight. And thank you so much for the time. It's great to catch up with you again. And all the best with these next few weeks. And I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, man. And hopefully we get another interview in after this one.